Alright, it's about 2:30. Anyway, so, another question I brought up about the stupidity of people was, why do women choose assholes? And I specifically put it that way because that's the angle I want to come in, so you could have a little controversial. I could have just said, why do people choose? But then we epitomize it. Men do the same kind of thing. It's a personality dependent, thing, or what I'd call your cognitive metabolism. But it's a common pattern, all right? And I always wondered, as a youth and stuff, figuring out, because I wanted to be a nice guy, out and all that. I was being told that was a positive male character, that that's what women really wanted. But you see, they go for alpha males and stuff. Why is that? Because it looks stupid. So again, following this idea that what if, just even hypothetically, as a thought experiment, as a way to generate ideas and analysis, not that it's literally true, not that everybody really is ever equally anything, but let's say you normalize their intelligence. Assume that, their actual capacity to think is based, on a constant in their brain. Yeah, it might be dependent on how they, path their neurons, but that can be changed, right? So in other words, when somebody does something stupid like choose somebody that's an asshole, there's got to be a reason. There's some intelligence going there that's spinning off and taking the data wrong way, or it serves some purpose that is legitimate, or even if it's unhealthy, is a real drive that is getting successfully satisfied. So there's a couple reasons. Now, the most primitive thing is just like, well, evolutionarily, women are good and want to have the kind of man, and so, right, always watch out for the evolutionary biology explanations. I mean, there's a fundamental reality that some sort of explanations like that must be true. But evolution converges and diverges and creates a lot of pathways hard to determine. And anyway, ultimately it's shallow. It doesn't say anything about the experiences people are really having. I figured out a very simple thing. I think that people, women or anybody that are nice, have a tendency to want to be the nice one. And one reason that they're with people that are assertive is because they would rather be with someone that decides to go to the beach when they were going to vote for the park, and if it's a bad day, at least it's not their fault. Right? Because most people are like, I could have fun either place, I kind of vote for this place, but I'd rather not be responsible because I'm nice. Okay? And this is just in general why assertiveness is often appreciated even when it's rude. Right? Because it allows a certain kind of responsibility to take place. Now, it works for anybody, including non-assholes, this kind of assertiveness. If you see people are like, nobody wants to take, responsibility for which restaurant you go to, and so you step and say, let's go to this one, and it's mostly to get the decision made. And you might even act a little bit like, well, that's your vote, but you didn't really have a vote. You had an abstention, except for you didn't want to talk about it forever. Maybe because you didn't think it was that important or vital. Right? But statistically, the people that do this without fail, because of their obtuse nature, are assholes. So we have a signal which makes some sense to select for assertiveness of people that'll take an organizational role, which really just means taking responsibility for ideas which might actually just be things they negotiated, that they take on as if they were their own, take some responsibility for. Right? But assholes just fall into it, and we misidentify them. And this might be a result of our evolutionary stability at the moment. I mean, the world might look like it's going to hell in a handbasket, but things are stable enough that we, it's like we eat too much sugar and stuff. Well, we could be doing too much of this. In our natural condition, assholes would get taken out by some natural means, and they wouldn't be around to clog up our natural appreciation for, responsibility taking and assertiveness and direction finding. people act stupid, obviously, regardless of my theory there or any theories. Obviously, just in a analytic, reductive sense, people act stupidly in relationships. A lot of smart people, because of their actual needs, might be different from their apparent or self-described needs. So in my bad relationship with my ex-wife, I've analyzed it for that. I certainly don't feel that my taking responsibility for my life lessens the responsibility she ought to take for certain things, for a great many things. But there's still, by my analysis, there has to be a reason. It doesn't have to be a healthy reason. I might also have reduced that, I'm looking for something not healthy here. In my case, I think it's beyond a mere question of health or unhealth, because I got into it because of issues I was able to work through, partially because of the conditions that I adopted, and I progressed. So it had an end result where I see the prize for the price, or whatever. So perhaps you can generalize from this back into this question of, are people really stupid at all? Should we think about them as stupid? I think the differences in intelligence between somebody with I don't know what is a good IQ, in the middle 70% of the bell curve, the distance between smart and intelligent, while massive in our society, is really still mostly a learned thing. That the potential of the people at the so-called low end of that 70% are really well within catching distance of those in the high end. That there's very unlikely a physical or metabolic excuse, and it's more because of things like this, like they're not attending their real needs, they don't know themselves. They've ignored Socrates' one dictum, which one should never do.